Thank you so much, Renee, and our former board chair, Bob Basin, and all of my friends and colleagues who are here, hopefully new friends. I'm very happy at this moment to have you here to celebrate the 9th year of the Global Justice Center. And I know that people go to a lot of events like this, and to raise money or to raise awareness, people say how terrible things are in the world. And I'm going to do the opposite. I think the worst thing that can happen for the world is cynicism. And as far as I'm concerned, I see so much hope in the world, and I see progress. I mean, we look in the newspapers and we see terrorism, we see Ebola, we see rise of Islamic fundamentalism and other fundamentalism, nationalism, tribalism, a lot of patriarchy that refuses to go away. We're seeing rape of women in Nigeria, abducted schoolgirls that somehow we can't find, although NSA can find every little cell phone that we ever call that we ever made in our life, but somehow 320 girls can disappear into the earth. I see all that, and that shows that there's problems that we can address, but I also see enormous progress in the areas that I've worked in my life, and it should give us hope for the future. And one sign of that progress, and sign of that hope, is the Global Justice Center. When I started the Global Justice Center in 2005, I knew it was going to be successful because everyone said it wasn't. They said, how can you possibly start a new human rights organization when there's Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch and all of these established, enormous human rights groups? What's different about it? And I said, what's different about us is the world is different. We have all these laws now that we never had, 20 years ago on the books. Human rights treaties, the International Criminal Court. But what are they really doing for women on the ground, for people on the ground? This is the Global Justice Center. We believe that we're going to change what the world looks like in 100 years. And it's not a women's rights organization, although we believe that parity in power and equality for women is critical to that success. So we get at the table with the big boys with our international expertise at the Security Council. And every project we've embarked upon that people said can happen has happened. And I want to just tell a few. In 2006, the Iraqi women asked me to come because Saddam was going to be tried and his colleagues for war crimes, including the rape of the Kurdish women in 1988 and the chemical bomb. So the women and the judges asked me to come and put on a training how they could use international law for rape for the first time in the Mideast. We got turned down by every funder. We got turned down. I was teaching at Harvard Law School, and they said, Janet, those judges aren't ready to not use Sharia. Well, fast forward, we got the first decision in the Middle East using international law for women's rights. They applied the international definition of rape. They found rape as genocide and torture, and they gave the Kurdish women rape victims of 1988 reparations. Wow. Then fast forward, we worked with the Burma Lawyers Council and women, and we said Burma should be brought to the International Criminal Court because there's documented crimes. People said that couldn't happen. It's going to happen. You heard it here. We signed the first memorandum of understanding with major legal groups outside of Burma that were Burmese. In 2006, we were declared an illegal organization by the military government with an arrest warrant out for our partner, and I knew we were on to something. As you know in the papers, the Burma Constitution and changing that Constitution so Suu Kyi can run for president and the military isn't in control is one of the major aims of the world, and all of the people in Burma, the democracy groups, the ethnic groups, the women's groups. Well, President Obama, when he made his first trip due to our lobbying or advocacy at the State Department, said, it's critical you have civilian control of this military government. And that came right out of our work because I told them that the president and the civilian government have no control over North Korea and the military training because the military is outside of the government. So we influenced that, and I think you're going to hear more to come, but when we first went on Voice of America to talk about the ICC with our Burma colleague in my office, Piu San, within 6 months, the military had put a complete amnesty for all crimes into their draft constitution, which still is there and gives us a great tool. But I think that's another example how standing up, even being the only organization in the world, can work. In 2010, we decided that women raped in war and girls. Now, I want you to know that this is different from years ago where there was always rape in war. Years ago, maybe 10, 20 years ago, 90% of the war casualties, that's injuries and death, were soldiers. And when civilians were hit, it was incidental. That's turned around. The major victims of war, even deliberately targeted, are civilians, women and children. But the laws of war, of course, were deemed, except on the male model of men, fighting men, using conventional weapons. And around that scene were lots of laws, very good laws. And so I thought the best laws in the world are the Geneva Conventions. We got to make those over for women. You know, because everybody believes in them, the military believes in them, every country believes in them. So I said all these women and girls, and 80% in some conflicts of the rape victims are children, girls under 18. 50% in all conflicts who become pregnant from mass rapes are children. Because they're often the young girls who are abducted, the girls that are like abducted by ISIS. When they become pregnant, it's a death sentence. If they're from Iraq, the family will kill them if they're Muslim. In every other place, they get ostracized. And so it's critical that they have access to life-saving, and it is life-saving, abortions for their life and health. And so I said, look, victims of war under the Geneva Conventions are guaranteed any medical treatment that can help them regardless of a local law. And Human Rights Watch said that's a stupid idea. Everybody said it's a stupid idea. Well, fast forward 3 years, and we have 2 Security Council resolutions with our language in it saying that women raped in war are entitled to abortions. We have the United Kingdom changing its policy and citing the Global Justice Center in the House of Lords, saying that from now on, the Geneva Conventions entitle you to an abortion, and if it's in a country where abortion is illegal, you have to do it anyway, because the Geneva Conventions trump local law. It's a universal system. We've got France on board now. We've got Australia on board, the Netherlands on board, and we're using all this to get President Obama to sign an executive order because the United States puts a ban on abortion on all humanitarian aid funds. So in every conflict zone in the world, the reason they're not providing abortions for raped children, even where they're legal, is because of the United States policy. So even places like ISIS kidnapping the Yazidi women or kidnapping the Nigerian schoolgirls, if they get rescued, it'll be the United States that stands in the way of their future by denying them essential medical care. And we've had 3 New York Times editorials, we've been talking to the White House, and our strategy there, and I think this is a hopeful sign given the midterm elections, is the United States doesn't always have to be the center of the world. If we get the European Union and all of the US allies on board with us, we can trump the United States in every war zone. You know, we can trump the funding, trump the policy, and we're getting to that point. So those are examples of some of our projects, and I'm really happy that we've been able to achieve what we have done with big ideas, audacious ideas, determination, and really strategic litigation thinking. If you're very small and you don't have a membership organization, I thought, what group could really give us visibility? The Security Council. Now, the Security Council was formed in 1945, and it wasn't until 2012, 2 years ago, that they said the word abortion in open debate in the Security Council, and that was due to us. So we're breaking barriers, we need help, And I see the world as an optimistic place because I see civilization of people being concerned about things in ways with new capabilities, new transnational women's movements, civil society movements, and little ordinary people can make big differences, and they just need the big ideas. Thank you.